Hello my dear sewing friends, it's Alisa here with Thoughtful Creativity, and today in this video I am on the mission to create a beautiful dress with the most simple techniques possible. That means that if I can do it, then you can do it as well. I would like to invite you to be inspired by this video and to be your own designer and see where that takes you. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. It really can't get any easier than that because we're going to be combining two simple garments together. So for the top part of the dress, I landed my eye on this cami from one of my previous tutorials. It's really easy, really straightforward, and it's going to be perfect for that sort of dreamy dress like we're going for. And for the bottom, it's just going to be a gathered skirt. But we're not gonna stop there. We're also going to add some really fun and easy to sew pockets. So let's get to work. I'm gonna start with a cami. First, I'm gonna go ahead and take the pattern that I already have and copy that on a new piece of paper. Once that is done, well, I want the cami to be a little bit cropped. So I'm gonna go ahead and crop it right below the bust, maybe about 3 to 4 inches below the bust, and square line. Then I want to get rid of that bust dart. So I want to make a garment that doesn't have any darts. And I will go ahead and rotate that dart into the hem of the front pattern piece. So it's really easy and really straightforward. Then I will tidy that up and we are actually ready to cut our pattern pieces out. Oh, one last thing. I do have to adjust the piece that goes here in the strap to make it a little bit more narrow because instead of actual straps, I'm going to be using bias tape. The bottom of the dress is just going to be a gathered rectangle for which I'm gonna go ahead and take the measuring tape and I will measure the bottom of the front pattern piece first. And then I will take that measurement and I will sum it together with the bottom of the back pattern piece like so. And then I would usually multiply that by 2 approximately, and that would be the width of the skirt. And the length of the skirt is going to be as long as you would like your dress to be. Now, of course, if you want the pockets and the side seams, you're just gonna go ahead and take that rectangle and divide it in half. So that way you would have the front pattern piece and the back pattern piece. Now that I know how much fabric I need, it's time to go fabric shopping. I got 2 yards of each of the floral fabrics and all of them are 100% cotton. Now, as you might have guessed, I'm going to be making not 1, but 3 dresses. Well, actually 4, because you can't really see much on the floral fabric. So I thought I will use this cotton fabric that I already had on hand. Now, I only have 1 yard of this, but we're going to make it work. Now, the first thing for me is to actually cut out the pattern pieces for the top of the dress, so the cami part. And as you might know, everything that I draft without seam allowances. Therefore, I will be cutting my patterns and adding seam allowances to it, except for the neckline and the armholes, because we're going to be doing that with bias tape and therefore no seam allowance is necessary. Once the pattern pieces for the top are done, I will go ahead and place them right sides together and I will sew them at the side seams, first with a straight stitch and then I will finish the edges on the serger. After that is done, I'm gonna go ahead and take care of the neckline and the armholes right away. And as you can see here, the bias tape is actually performing the function of the closure as well, because it ties at the shoulders, which is really easy and it looks really pretty too. I decided to make my own white bias tape to add some sort of a contrast to this garment, and I've started with the front and the back necklines first. So I placed the bias tape on the wrong side of the garment and I stitch it in a crease. Once that is done, sometimes I might need to tidy up the seam allowance just a little bit. Then I fold it over and then I stitch it down on the right side of the fabric on the very edge of the bias tape. And it's easy as that. By the way, detailed tutorials for all of these techniques that I'm using today will be in the info box below right underneath this video. So if you want to learn more, see it in more detail, definitely take a look in the info box below. Once you have finished the front neckline and the back neckline, we're gonna go ahead and do the armholes. Everything is going to be exactly the same, but of course the actual bias tape piece is going to be a lot longer because it's going to form the tie from one side and from the other side as well. After the top is done, it's time to move on to the skirt. Now, since I'm working here with just 1 yard of fabric versus all the other dresses that I made from 2 yards of fabric, this one is going to be without pockets. But if you want to add your own pockets, I have multiple variations of pocket tutorials on the channel. This one is real easy and real straightforward, and it adds that beautiful design element to your garment. So definitely, I will leave that for you guys underneath the video. So if that is the case, first you're going to take care of the pockets, and then we're going to go ahead and sew the side seams. Side seams I will be doing the same way, just a straight stitch and finish it up with a serger. And after that is done, it's time to gather the top. Now you can gather the top in so many ways. Some people like to do that on a serger. Some people like to do that by changing the tension on their sewing machine. Some like to use a gathering foot. I just use the simple method of using the longest stitch that you have on your sewing machine and doing 2 rows or sometimes just 1 row of stitches all the way around the top edge of the fabric. Once that is done, I go ahead and I gather the fabric to match the actual top of the dress that we're going to be attaching it to. Once the skirt matches the top, I do exactly the same thing like with all of the other seams, straight stitch and finish it up with a serger. And then the last thing for me to finish up is the hem. For the hem, I do a narrow double fold hem. So I fold it in once by about 1/4 inch, do a stitch on the edge, and then I fold it in one more time by the same amount, and then I do another stitch. And that's it. The dress is actually ready. Now, these dresses that I'm making today are actually not for me. These are for Project Dress a Girl around the world. And that's one of the reasons why I had to stick to a very simple design, like no closures or zippers or Velcro, certain length of the garment like below the knee, certain type of fabric like cotton. And I truly hope that it's going to make somebody out there really happy. Now, if you want to know more about Project Dress a Girl around the world, if you want to participate or do something else for it, I will leave the information for you guys in the info box below. Now, wasn't that easy? You can take the same principle, you can take any top and any skirt, put them together. Of course, you will need to think it through, problem solve, analyze, pay attention to detail, what goes where. Maybe you will need to add a closure, but you can definitely use this principle to create a beautiful garment from scratch that was made entirely by you. Now, I do have a challenge for you. Have you ever thought about taking your old clothes and upcycle them into fabulous new garments? If so, take a look at this video right over here. I take 2 denim skirts and upcycle them into a gorgeous jacket. Click right over here and I'll see you in that next video. Bye!